He is the GOAT, Mo Ahmed, the GOAT of Canadian distance running, four-time Olympian, multiple-time national record holder, silver medalist at the 2021 Olympics in the 5,000 meter. Mr. Ahmed taking to the cross-country course for the first time since 2012. This is a big deal and so exciting to see him back in form. Of course, Mo had a difficult season over the last couple of months. We'll talk more about that. A calf injury set him out from what I think he really wanted to accomplish, but he is back for some redemption here in London. He is going to be in excellent company, though. Philippe Morneau-Cartier. This man has done what no one else has done in being a three-time back-to-back U-Sport cross-country champion. He is also, with that accolade, coming off of three consistent uncontested seasons in the U-Sport program, I should say. So an absolutely phenomenal competitor is Morneau-Cartier. Mitch, you've been one of our top returners from the last couple of years of cross country. He was a U-Sport victor himself in cross country a few years ago, coming off of a phenomenal fall season of road racing and really establishing himself as a staple on the Canadian distance circuit. Ben Preisner, again, you know, Adam, we've talked about the meeting point of the 10K cross country being the mid-distance specialist and the distance specialist. Benjamin Preisner, an Olympian in the marathon, top Canadian at the 2021 Tokyo Olympics, three-time world championship competitor in the marathon as well. And then Evan Burke, and again, another event where we could have listed several athletes in this set of accolades in top five. But Evan Burke, local to London, he knows the course really well. He competed for Stanford and the University of Oregon in the NCAA. He actually broke Mo Ahmed's U23 5,000 meter record back in 2023. He ran 13:38, breaking Mo's record by 3 seconds. He's got a really fast 10,000 meter PB. He's got international experience. We just saw an incredible performance on the women's side in the form of Kaylee McCabe and a deep field chasing her. Could we see the same thing with Mo leading a field of some of the best depth we've ever seen on the men's side behind him?
And the 2025 Canadian Cross Country Championships brought to you by our following sponsors. We're at the Fanshawe Golf Course in London, Ontario. This day one of two of the championships. Final event of the day coming up in just moments. It is the senior men's 10K.
Well, Adam, as we mentioned, we've got some of those top contenders in the form of, again, Mo Ahmed, Mitch Ubin, Philippe Morneau-Cartier, Preisner, Burke, but we have so many other competitors that are set to really take the field to task, including Ihab El Sindali. He's running unattached for Ontario. He was second at the Toronto Waterfront Marathon Half Championships. He is the 10,000 meter Canadian champion on the track. We've got Malika Ghali, the champion of the AO Cross Country this year. Roman Mironov, U-Sport 8th for the Queen's Gales. Yamane Mulugeta, he was the champion in 2023 at the U20 Canadian Cross Country Championships. I mean, we just have so much depth. So again, we could talk about, a ton of athletes here, but it is set to be one of the most competitive senior men's fields that we have seen in a very, very long time.
123 athletes entered in this one, and they are off 4 laps of the 2.5 kilometer course. On the team side, Newmarket Huskies expected to be in the mix in this race, so that for many of these races they always bring a pretty deep team, and you could see their distinctive highlight yellow-green kit littered throughout this mass of competitors.
So Adam, we mentioned Ben Preisner, again, 3-time world championship competitor in the marathon, Tokyo Olympian in the marathon. We've got a couple other distance specialists here who are showing their strength over that long distance and trying to bring that to this much shorter cross-country course. Phil Perot-Migas is one who should not ever be dismissed. He is always in the mix. He is the Canadian Marathon Championship bronze medalist from earlier this year. He was 11th in 2023 at the Canadian Cross Country Championships, competed in Aarhus, Denmark at the World Cross Country Championships last year. And he's local. He runs with one of our sponsors, Backwoods Brews and Shoes. He's part of that Backwoods racing team, and he is always looking to mix things up front.
And up front right now, it's still anybody's race. Of course, early days in this 10K. But it looks like amongst the leaders right now, we do have Mo Ahmed, again, making his return to these championships for the first time since 2012.
Well, Mr. Ahmed, my dear friend Mo, had a really difficult year with injury. A calf injury, unfortunately, didn't allow him. Adam, you and I were calling the Canadian Track and Field Championships this year in Ottawa, and Mo contested the 5,000. Unfortunately had to drop out with a lap to go. He couldn't finish. He did make it to the World Athletics Championships in the 10,000 meter. Also didn't finish that race due to that injury. But this guy turns up time and time again, giving all of himself to every race he competes in. So exciting to see him back as a, track specialist who's dabbled a little bit in the roads and is now returning to the cross-country course. Fantastic to see the Olympian in the mix, along with, again, his fellow Olympian, Ben Preisner. He's running unattached for British Columbia. But look at that pack. Again, such depth in this men's 10K senior cross-country course. Well, we saw McCabe break away on the women's side, and this is a big break on the men's as well. I think there may be a page being taken out of Kaylee McCabe's handbook here about how to run 10K cross-country in London. Bold, brave running up front with a chase pack that, again, has incredible pedigree. We talked about Mo Ahmed. We talked about Philippe Morneau-Cartier. But there are so many other competitors. Nick Bannon running for RCAO, 10th last year at these championships, but second for Guelph at the U Sport 3000 meter in 2023. He's got fantastic accolades behind him. So too Connor Black, world cross country competitor in 2023 and 2024. A number of athletes having taken to the international stage already and bringing all of that experience with them to these 4 laps of 2.5 kilometers here in London at Fanshawe College. Incredible running up front, and again, an exuberant and talented field chasing our leader at the moment up that hill. And now down the descent, we are through 2.5K. That opening lap for our men. We'll wait on some official splits, but you can see how muddy that course has gotten, and these runners are going to do really well to either have put in some of those. Remember, Adam, I said put in the 12s, the 12 millimeter spikes. Either they're going to have done that, or they're going to have to choose their footing very carefully as to which side of the course they're going to run. Whether it's left, right, middle of the course is definitely going to be the muddiest, and this is where some of our road specialists and our steeplechasers might bode the best.
Saw Kaylee McCabe go around those hay bales, but large contingent of these athletes deciding to go over them on this opening lap. Coming up to the first 2.5K splits, and Andy Wacker takes them through that in 7:31.8. So he's got about a 4.7 second lead on the rest of this field. Wacker out of the U.S.
So that's interesting, Adam. He will not be in contention for a Canadian gold medal nor a spot, of course, on that Canadian team headed to the World Championships in the spring. Although this is not unprecedented. Of course, we've seen Americans come here and, race in Canada, try to just get really good exposure to a strong field. Obviously, Wacker feeling great the way McCabe did in her race and taking things out in a very strong fashion. 5-second lead over the Connor Black and the rest of the field, including Matt Talbot. Connor Black running unattached out of Ontario, and he was another athlete that we had said to keep an eye on. He was 14th here last year, 5th in 2023, and in 2022 he was the champion at these Canadian Championships. He was a standout for the Guelph Griffins and is also a local, another athlete running for those Backwoods Brews and Shoes racing team.
But Wacker continuing to be up front here, and he appears to be adding some distance and some time to his lead. Wacker finished 4th at the U.S. Cross Country Championships back in January. Those were down in Texas, also a 10K race. Ran that in 30:13.
Well, he's a real road and trail standout in the U.S. He's been running at a high level for a number of years and has a number of accolades under his belt. You mentioned a couple of them there. Interesting that he's here in London testing himself against another very strong field, but this is rinse and repeat, Adam, from what we saw on the women's side with Kaylee McCabe taking things out early and never looking back. Andy Wacker absolutely putting the work to the field here in his second lap of this 4-loop course at Fanshawe College.
So Wacker leading the race overall, and then amongst the Canadian contingent, it's still anybody's game. Mohamed near the front there. They're about 3.5 kilometers now as Wacker hurdles himself over the hay bales. No choice in that collection of hay bales. You've got to go over them. Kate, this has been the theme for the last couple of races. We saw it with Kaylee McCabe in the senior women's race, then with Xavier St. Onge as well in the U20 men's race. A competitor getting out to an early lead and then just not allowing anyone to get near them again.
Well, it's real confidence running. I mean, look at the pack behind him. They are using the entirety of the width of the course. So the athletes, I mean, we ran through them. Multiple Olympians, world championship competitors, Canadian record holders. I mean, this is not a weak field by any means. In fact, Adam, when you and I were looking at the fields for the senior team, we thought this is probably the most exciting set of runners we've seen in a very, very long time, potentially a generation over the men's and women's senior teams. So, or senior fields, I should say. So, for Wacker to be this far ahead, as we saw with McCabe, it's a big deal. Now, again, he cannot win a Canadian medal. He cannot compete on a Canadian team if he's American. And there you see a good shot. The shoes are still in picture, or they were. And that indicates to me that there is momentum in that pack. You see Mo Ahmed, you see Ihab El Sandali, you see Morneau Cartier, a number of other top competitors working together, using their shared experience to try to slow that gap, decrease the distance between them and our leader. But you're right, he has a big gap at the moment.
He had a lead of 4.7 seconds through the first lap. So we will soon see what his lead is through two. Andy Wacker out of the U.S. leading things here in this final race of day one. It is the senior men's 10K.
Well, that lead just continues increasing. The gap back from Wacker to the rest of the field is growing with every stride. It's hard to tell how much of that, Adam, on the course is mud and how much of it is leaves. I'm going to warrant that the majority is mud, and this is what we would expect. This is really true Canadian cross-country running. I applaud any American who comes down and tests themselves on a true Canadian cross-country course, because it is not easy. You can see now as he approaches this ascent, the footing becomes a little bit cleaner, but he's still hugging that left of picture rail, trying to run both the shortest distance and the cleanest footing.
Good running on that corner by Wacker, as he is coming up to the halfway point. And Wacker through 5 kilometers in 14:52.2. And he has opened up his lead to 6.7 seconds. It's Matt Talbot now who is leading that chase pack, although I should say it's Matt Talbot and Mitch Bean leading. They're both through right around the 7:22 mark. Well, the American Andy Wacker continuing to lead things here in the senior men's 10K. Wacker won't take home any hardware again. He is out of the U.S., runs for the U.S., but still not a bad confidence booster if you're Wacker, if he's able to hang on here to come up north and beat all the Canadian talent. But will any of the Canadians be able to make inroads on Wacker's lead? At the halfway point, the lead was 6.7 seconds. See Mohamed right there, but the middle of the top screen, he's in that white, the top base color white, then it's got a collection of colors on there. Does look, though, Kate, that lead of Wacker's is starting to shrink.
It definitely is, Adam, and this again is the force of the pack. I see Morneau Cartier on the inside of picture there in that blue kit. Just to his outside is Mohamed, who is making these hay bales look like child's play, frankly. Clearly back in good form is Ahmed, and that gap has been diminished to about 2 meters. So this is going to be an exciting back half of this race. Again, with a couple of Olympians, a U Sport 3-time champion, and a number of other top contenders trying to reel in the American.
And they're up on his backside now. Wacker staying on the inside here. There's a pretty good lane there. It's not too chewed up. Well, as I say that, now it's getting into some rather rough territory.
Well, again, Adam, interesting that Wacker is choosing to stay to the left of picture. That's his right side, of course, while the entire field comes up on the right of picture there. They're going through the muddiest section now, doing well to stay on their feet. But Mohamed, you see him in that, hard to see him, but top of picture in that white with the orange and yellow. There's a great shot. Morneau Cartier sitting in about 6th right now. And that is Santiago Gaetan, who is continuing to put the pressure on our leader, and now coming up on his outside shoulder. Mohamed looking really comfortable. I love to see the GOAT, Mo, back in fine form, chasing down our leaders, but also conserving his energy. This is, again, the first time he's been on a Canadian cross-country course since 2012. And now the GOAT is challenging for the lead. You can hear the excitement on the sidelines. This is why people turn up to watch these races. We saw Kaylee McCabe just run one of the most impressive cross-country races on Canadian soil ever. And now you're seeing the 4-time Olympian and GOAT, Mohamed, taking the field to task over the back half of this race.
Gaetan up there as well, out of Ontario. So he looks to be in the mix. They're coming up to the hay bales. What will they elect to do this time? Ahmed's going to go around them. Gaetan is going to go over them. So a little bit of contrasting strategies there.
I feel like that's a a children's rhyme. Adam, can't go over them, can't go around them, have to go through them. So it is Gaetan up front. Not someone we necessarily expected to see in the lead here, but obviously feeling in a really good spot at the moment. He actually has run some very impressive times this year. He's out of Niagara in Ontario. He has the second fastest Canadian half marathon time ever, but that came sort of out of nowhere. Unfortunately, the course is at an elevation loss that his result was recorded on, so he is not going to be eligible for the rankings. But Gaetan, a very, very fast 1 hour 55-second half marathon, second fastest ever behind Canadian record holder Cam Levins.
One lap left to go now for our leaders. It is Matt Talbot with the lead through 7.5K, but it remains very close. Mohamed Ahmed in there as well. Gaetan, Perez Fanuf, and Wacker has now dropped back to 5th. Villemort Cartier also in the mix, so the top 6 through 7.5K, all within 2.1 seconds of each other.
And now it does, I believe that's Morneau Cartier on the outside of screen on the upper picture there. Again, what a sensational set of U Sport performances he's had to go uncontested, unbeaten for 3 seasons straight in the Canadian University system, including winning titles at the U Sport Championship. Unbelievable performer, although Mo Ahmed, again, the GOAT, I'm going to call it, I'm going to stand by it every single time. He is really showing that he is back into fine form. Adam, it was so upsetting watching him have to drop out of those Canadian and World Championships earlier this year after just a string of consistent high-level performances. But here he is, back in Ontario, and back on the Canadian cross-country course, showing why he is the best.
First time in 13 years that Mo Ahmed has contested the Canadian cross-country championships, and he's looking to make that return in style as he has the lead there into the final lap of this race. Gaetan holding down second right now. And now Ahmed really putting some pace into this field as he tries to pull away as he comes up to one of the smaller hills on the course. He's still got the big one to come.
You know, Mo is just so impressive for me. I mean, his performances speak for themselves, but this man is completely committed in his entire being to every race he runs. I remember watching him in 2016 at the Rio Olympics. He was a devastating 4th in the 5,000 meter, and it shattered him. He said, I am not good enough if I'm not on the podium because I have not completed my task of giving all of myself to that race. Well, here we see, just the way we did McCabe in the women's race, Mo Ahmed giving all of himself once again in full health, in full contention to a Canadian Championships. This is what we would expect, and what a brilliant performance. What a gift he is giving all of us to show up in fine form and put all of himself on the line yet again.
He's through 8.5 kilometers. So into the final 1,500 now is Mo Ahmed. He's continuing to pull away from the chasers. So the battle on now for the silver. Gaetan in the mix, Talbot in the mix. See if Andy Wacker remains in that chase pack. Again, he's not eligible for a medal here as he is competing out of the U.S.
Well, Mo has really extended his lead over the rest of the field here, Adam. I appreciate this. I think that, there's a psychological effect to going through injury. Even when you come back to full health, sometimes you question or doubt a little bit whether you have the capacity to keep things going. And Mo, I think, used the first half of this race very smartly to feel out the field, feel out himself, and now he is taking off and just showing again why he is the greatest of all time in Canadian distance running. Look at the battle on in bottom of picture here as they ascend this hill for the final time in the chase pack. That is Gaetan continuing to try to put the work to the field here. It is 3 strong in the chasers. There's 3 into 2 does not go. So we have 2 medals up for contention. Again, you have to be top 10 if you want to make that Canadian team for the World Cross Country Championships in Tallahassee in March. So all 3 of those men still in strong form for that. But Mo Ahmed running away with this thing for the first time in over a decade. 2012, the last time we saw Ahmed on a Canadian cross-country course, and here he is again, giving a gift to our spectators both in person and online, showing why he is the best.
He is a 4-time Olympian. It was a tough track season for Ahmed. He was dealing with injury, but certainly this would help ease the disappointment of that track season. If he can hold on here and take a Canadian title on the cross-country course, and he's looking very strong as he rounds the corner. Mo Ahmed, 6-time Canadian record holder. And Ahmed looking to make it a successful return to the cross-country ranks here. And there is
Adam,
no
this has
one
got to
else
feel
in
so
picture.
good. You're right. There's no one else in picture except for exuberant fans on the sidelines. This has got to feel so, so good for Mo. He's a dear friend. He's a fantastic Canadian ambassador, and he is coming back out and again showing why he is the best after that difficult series of injuries, the calf injury, having to pull out of the World Championships. I know how hard that was for him, but look at the congratulatory support on the sidelines for the man who has turned up for the first time in over 10 years to show everyone why he is Canada's top athlete.
It's been 13 years since he's contested the Canadian Cross Country Championships, and he returns in style. It's Movember. Mo Ahmed takes the win in London. Now the battle on for second. It's Paris Phaneuf who will come across for the silver, and Santiago Gaetan will round out the podium. He gets the bronze. Matt Talbot not far behind for fourth. And Evan Burke will cross for fifth. This is Philippe Morneau-Cartier. He will pick up sixth.
Again, we were tasked with an impossible ask, Adam, to put out our top 5 ahead of these races. It is so difficult to call that because of the depth of these fields, and that is a problem I am so happy to have. What a performance there by Xavier Paras-Phaneuf, CSLS, the 2020, the Canadian U20 second place finisher last year. He also picked up silver medals in the 3,000 meter steeplechase and the 5,000 at the Canada Summer Games. So a youngster moving up to the senior ranks and absolutely killing it. Well done by Paras-Phaneuf. And Santiago Gaetan, as I mentioned, it's unofficial, it does not count, but he technically holds the second fastest half marathon time ever run by a Canadian in history, only behind another GOAT of the distance scene, Cam Levins. And to clock under 61 minutes in the half is a big deal. And we should just mention, Adam, I mean, these guys beat such a great depth, you know, like to beat a 3-time U Sport champion, to beat multiple Olympians, to beat multiple world championship contenders and participants. This is phenomenal running.
Athletes continuing to pour across the line.
We know that these fields are a little bit smaller than the younger age groups. The U18, the U20s tend to be more populated, a little sparse here in terms of the numbers, but certainly not in terms of the depth for this men's senior 10K championship. What a race. Mo Ahmed claiming victory for the first time back on the cross-country course in over 10 years. Last year's team winner, the Vancouver Thunderbirds, were put to task by Toronto West and Newmarket Huskies. Again, we'll await the final compilation of the team results, but it's been a long time since we've seen this kind of depth on the men's and women's side at the senior categories at the Canadian Cross Country Championships, and I am just brimming with hope about how our team might do going into Tallahassee in March for those World Athletics Cross Country Championships.
And for Mo Ahmed, again, a tough season on the track due to injuries. Just for him personally, to give him something to come to a close in 2025 with, something to feel good about, how's that going to help him moving on to 2026?
Adam, that's a great question. And I really do think that this was probably a psychological gift to himself as much as it was a reinforcement of his physical ability. When you go through a difficult period through injury and you come back and you say, okay, I'm injury free now, I'm cleared for competition, that's a great first step. Then to regain fitness, great second step. To find the psychological and mental wherewithal to know that you're back where you want and need to be, that is the trifecta. So for Mo to be able to turn up in all three ways on this cross-country course in London, big things for this guy. He's back.
So in the end, he takes the victory by just under 16 seconds.
Well, again, we continue seeing athletes come across the line, working hard for all of those team spots. Not as many individual competitors here, but those team points matter greatly because, Adam, there's really not that many teams that field a full 4 or 6 man team here at these cross-country championships. And we've said it all day, but what a brilliant set of circumstances. What fantastic conditions for these athletes, for our sideline supporters, for our volunteers, our officials, our staff. It's been a really excellent day of performances here in London. And we're wrapping things out now, Adam, with this Senior Men's Cross Country Championship. But tomorrow we have an exciting day as well. I know we've got lots to get through before we get there, but it's just a brilliant start to this 2-day festival, if you will.
Well, the weather certainly cooperated today as the snow held off for most of day one of these championships. Starting to get some coming down now.
Well, it wouldn't be Canadian cross country without at least a little bit of the flurries in the air. But yes, Adam, absolutely. I think our athletes have enjoyed a very fortunate set of circumstances here on day one of the ACXC championships. Especially as you mentioned, we'll just sort of, bookmark this as a win, given that we were supposed to have an athlete panel on Thursday evening that was canceled. I know a number of flights were also canceled, but things are looking up. And if you had any doubt about the heat, just go back and watch some of those races, because bring the heat our athletes did.
Taking a look at the forecast overnight and into tomorrow morning, expected to get some snow here in London, so tomorrow's weather might not be as advantageous as we saw today.
Well, we knew it was going to be exciting, Adam. We knew that there was talent, depth, and the return of some notable missing figures over the last several years. It was an American out to the early lead, taking things out across the 10-kilometer cross-country course. Looked like he might have been able to hold on for a win, but no. Keep your eye on our goat, Mo Ahmed, who continued to pursue our leader throughout that 10-kilometer course. Mo, a 5,000-meter Olympic medalist, a 10,000-meter World Championship contender, put all of that experience to excellent use here. Look at the margin of advantage. Not another person in sight on the cross-country course, but certainly many folks cheering on our 2025 champion, Mr. Mo Ahmed, back from injury, back from all the setbacks. What a performance.
Let's go down now and hear from Mo Ahmed. He's standing by with our Alex Sear.
So Mo Ahmed, our ACXC 2025 champion, first time at these championships in 13 years. When you finished, I saw you way out there doubled over. I thought, oh, this race took a lot out of him. And then I took a closer look and you were signing autographs. Okay, so tell me about this race. When did you know you had it in the bag?
Maybe just like once I kind of got that gap. I think I was like, at first it was like, okay, it was a quick 20 meters and then it was like 30 and then it was like 40. People were like, yeah, about 30, 40, you know, and so I was just like, just pour it on and just go. And, you know, the guys, actually a lot of guys look really, really good. So, I don't know, like I was slipping and sliding out there. So I really, you know, you never know, like cross country is just different. Like that's what makes like cross country different than track is, you know, the elements really beat you up. So you don't really know. You can be trying to put a lot of power and force into the ground, but you're not getting a whole lot out of it. So I just say like when I finished the finish line pretty much, I'd say like, okay, I think I have this, you know, so yeah. But I was sort of queuing up the entire time. I was like, okay, up over the hill. That's the next thing. Okay, there's like hay bell. So I was sort of like counting those things down all the way till I took the turn. So yeah.
Because about 8 kilometers into this 10K race, it did seem like a 4 or 5 horse race.
Yeah.
And no disrespect to these other guys because they're tremendous athletes, but you are one of the fastest 10,000 meter runners in the world. You're a world medalist. I gotta ask, what goes through your mind when you're racing against people that you know that on paper you should beat? How do you stay motivated and how do you stay focused on the task at hand?
I never take anything for granted. I never underestimate anybody. I don't know, like I like to run a little scared sometimes, or at least like I convince myself those things. Like even if I feel like, okay, I'm the favorite, I don't really get comfortable. You never know, man. People can have a heater of a day, and you know, I haven't finished a race this year. So this is the first race of the year of 2025 that I finished, and I was very, very much like determined and adamant that I wanted to finish that. And so, you know, I didn't know how my calf was going to hold up. You never, you know, right? Like I think it's in good shape, but you know, all those things were like doubts that I had going into this race. So I really didn't want to underestimate anybody. I wanted to respect the course. I ran it yesterday, and I was like, okay, that hill's going to be tough. And you know, these guys are young, these guys are sharp. They've been racing all across country, so they're used to the elements and everything like that. Whereas this is my first one in 13 years. So I did not want to take anything for granted. So yeah.
So first cross-country race in 13 years, or you said potentially 11 years.
11, yeah.
What took you this long to come back to the course? And is this your last cross-country race for another 11 years, or did this give you the itch to come back?
Yeah. No, honestly, one of the reasons why I said, hey, like, give it a try, was when I heard like 2 years ago when World Cross was announced that it was going to be in Tallahassee, I was like, man, that'd be nice to do it. You never get a championship this close. so I was always the back of my mind. I was like, I think I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to do it. Obviously, coming off of the season that I had where I was hurt, I was nursing a lot with a short build. I really didn't know if I was even going to do this. And even like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I was like, I'm going to take as many days as weeks as possible. And I literally, the last day of declaration is when I declared for it. So really. And also, like, the other one was, I was like, yeah, this might be the last cross-country race that I ever do, Like, all those years, those 13 years, like, I was like, oh, I'll probably do one. And, and then I'm like, man, like, career's kind of coming to an end here, so you better, do one. And it's close. It's about a 2-hour drive from home, so flew into Buffalo, got picked up across the border, stayed at home for a night and 2 nights, and then drove up here yesterday. So it was an easy drive despite the weather. That was kind of scary. But really, yeah, I think those were some of the reasons that kind of drew me back here. So, yeah.
And one of the perks of winning is that you get a second chance on this microphone. So yesterday I interviewed you and I asked you who was the Canadian who had won 7 cross-country titles. The answer was your roommate, Simon Byru.
Yeah.
You failed to get that right.
Yeah.
Evan Jagger hopped in the comments, said he was disappointed in you. No word from Byru. This is your chance to redeem yourself. Is there an apology message or anything you have to say?
Man, I guess there's definitely an apology, but see, the reason why Simon didn't pop up to my head real quick was, first time I saw him compete was 2006 at the World, the Canadian Championships in Jericho Beach. And I knew that he won 2006, and then he won like 2 more, something like that. But I didn't know he had before that. I don't know. I honestly did not put that into my head. So that was the reason. So, yeah, but I mean, really, there's definitely an apology because I was like, the only Canadian cross-country beast that I can think of was Joel. And really, Joel was a beast. Like, he made, I think, 11 world cross-country team or something insane. He was on some of those teams with me when I was a junior. And he's a legend, Olympian and everything like that. But really, yeah, definitely Simon is the greatest Canadian cross-country runner of all time, if not one of the best in the world. So, yeah, he knows how I feel about him. That's big bro right there. So, yeah. Yep.
All right, well, let's hope that he's watching. And, I mean, I'm sure he signed a lot of autographs in his day, but you certainly signed a lot of autographs today. So, Mo, proving once again why you're one of the absolute Canadian greats. Congratulations. Mohamed Ahmed qui vient de remporter le championnat national ACXC 2025. Sa première course de fond en 11 ans, sa première fois ici en 13 ans. Et aujourd'hui, remporte par quelques secondes seulement, mais avec une victoire très bien commandée. Mohamed, félicitations. Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Cheers. Yeah. Thank you. Absolutely. Thank
Really
you.
well done.
Yeah. Appreciate that. Yeah.
Thanks.
Great work by our Alex Sear.